So when I talk about heart intelligence, I really talk about the electromagnetic field of the heart. And luckily, modern science, 7 years ago, has clearly shown that the electromagnetic field of the heart is much bigger and much more potent than the electromagnetic field of the human mind. And that means that before we rationalize that, we actually sense that through the electromagnetic field of the heart, which is much more expanded. So the information, and when we speak about quantum field, it's a field of energy and information. So the energy and information that comes in our field is being received by our electromagnetic field of our heart.
Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Ramona. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. Ramona. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life, we're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright, we are gonna witness.
Shout out to my sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, so why not optimize it? Just text OPTIMIZE to 72000, 72000 for instant access to 6 quick videos that help you think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer. A big thanks to Epic App, the 4-step storytelling system I use every day to connect and to convert. Try it free. Email me at stever1961@gmail.com. That's stevr1961@gmail.com, and I'll get you the free app. Doing Business with a Servant's Heart was just named top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Fired up today because Steve gets to learn. Because we're going to talk about something you probably have not heard of, or maybe you've heard from real 30,000-foot view. We're going to dive deep into something I think you're going to be very excited about. As I told my guests before the show, I'm super pumped doing this show because it's something I don't know much about, and I get to learn for 20, 25 minutes like you will. But let's start the show as we have been this year in 2026 with our gratitude. And today's gratitude is your potential is unlimited. I'm in awe of your many talents. You all have talents out there. If you don't know what they are, find them, but you do. You know, one talent you all have is that you can love. Let's love more and more. And speaking of talents, let's bring our guest on because this is a talented woman. First time I met her, I was blown away by her, and she had to be on the podcast, and here she is. Nataliya, welcome to the show.
Hello to everyone, and Steve, such a pleasure to sit together with you. Thank you.
Out in Spain, and I got to get out there here. It's beautiful. I love my international guest. You know, your title is Quantum Level Biohacking. Let's break that down. The people go, Quantum Level Biohacking, what is that?
Let's take it in simple components. So biohacking, certainly the science to prolong human life, to boost it up with potential, and to make it even more meaningful and still in the young body. The way classical biohacking approach that is combining biology and technology together. The way I look at that, adding that quantum component, is to add to biology and technology the level of consciousness, or / we may say spiritual technology. So to understand deeper the source of life.
Technology, you've said a couple of times. Is AI part of this? AI, excuse me?
By all means, in classical biohacking, AI serves a lot. That serves a lot in research to help us to identify the right compounds, to help us to speed up the research tremendously. So a huge applause to AI that is such a helper in this time.
Mindset's a big part of this too as well. How's the mindset play in all this?
Yeah, mindset is essential, the central role in that, because certainly we're not looking at the human architecture as simply the body. It's so much bigger, and the mind plays one of a central role right there, together with the heart. Actually, I never forget the heart, because mind and heart working together in heart-brain coherence That what actually brings the harmony. That's what brings the meaning and the right connection between different parts of us to make sure that all this technology functions properly together.
Can we change minds, our thoughts, our subconscious? Because I talk to people all the time, Natalia. I can't do that. I try to go to the gym and I quit after 5 weeks and I just don't have it in me. Is in America, that's what we say. But people could truly change their subconscious, can't they?
100%, 100%. Um, the way I look at the subconscious mind, and I've been diving deep in the human happiness as a researcher for decades. And if at the beginning, happiness to me was mostly orchestrated by our human emotions, so basically by our biochemical reactions in the body. I started to look at that deeper after graduating from university, after finishing my PhD, when I started working in the clinical trials, and I saw that effect when the effect of placebo cannot beat up the freshly synthesized drug that is entering clinical trials, or it beats up 5 to 7%, which is not considered as significant. And then there comes a question, so what's inside the human body actually believes that they have just received the pill, or they have just received the necessary injection, because they see the scar, they see that they have taken something, and they believe that it's going to work. And if it was a blank pill, or the injection was just simply a saline solution, certainly that was not. So that brought up the question, then what's inside the human being decides and starts synthesizing all necessary healing, and then start creating that pharmacy inside. And that took me to the level of subconscious mind. And then later, researching deeper the subconscious mind, I also came to the superconscious mind. That is a bigger, let's say, access to all our generational programs, to our even karmic programs that we have access to, that we know and don't know, but we play still those games that our ancestors haven't fully finished yet, that we haven't finished yet as a soul traveling through the incarnations. Now, even the scientists, rigorous scientists, confirm that. Put the slash or the equal sign soul consciousness, our consciousness traveling through lifetimes, collecting the experience. And right now, we are the ultimate collection of those experiences in this life, which makes our subconscious and superconscious mind a bit of a challenge for us to unlock and to untweak.
Yeah, it'd be a different world. Everybody could do it easily. It's not easy to do. And it's amazing. You've got all these statistics, how science is part of that. You got your spiritual, the woo-woo, like, oh, I don't know if I believe it, but then you pop a science in there and going, hey, science has proved the spiritual. That just adds more credibility to what you do, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
The way I look at that, to me, spiritual technologies or spirituality is something that makes the life alive. So it's a science and technology of what really breathes life into the mechanical component of that.
Yeah, you're so incredible. Even when I first met you, I was blown away for such a young woman and all this. I mean, you're diving into deep stuff and making impact in people's lives. And you want to do this in the United States too, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I've heard of emotional intelligence. Going through your stuff and your background, I saw heart intelligence. I've never heard that. Is there a difference, or are you just packaging it a little differently?
I tend to look at things functionally. Um, and again, as a scientist, I always want to ground that in more solider facts. So when I talk about heart intelligence, I really talk about the electromagnetic field of the heart. And luckily, modern science 7 years ago has clearly shown that the electromagnetic field of the heart is much bigger and much more potent than the electromagnetic field of the human mind. And that means that before we rationalize that, we actually sense that through the electromagnetic field of the heart, which is much more expanded. So the information, and when we speak about quantum field, it's a field of energy and information. So the energy and information that comes in our field is being received by our electromagnetic field of our heart, and that's how the fields overlap and interact together, and then that sends an impulse to our mind to start computing those. And then certainly that's where the term for me comes from, that this is received by the heart field that then goes to be interpreted by the device, the mind that we have, which is an incredible device, a quantum biocomputer that sits in our body, sits in the darkness, and renders the information based on the input received. And certainly the way we have been programmed as our subconscious mind, the worst or the better interpretations we can have from our mind.
Thank you, because now I'm going to use heart intelligence. Now I know what that is, and it's different, and it is different, And I love that because I think the heart's taken out, especially business these days. We don't have enough heart in it, enough love or empathy, whatever words you want to use. And speaking of business, I have a number of business leaders that listen to this, and a lot of people want to be business leaders. What's a piece of advice you'd give them with all you've learned?
Mm. Certainly, getting grounded in the science, access to heart intelligence and access to superconsciousness, which is you may call it the expanded states of consciousness, gives us sharpness, gives us flow, gives us the possibility to foresee things time before they happened. So when I work with business leaders, I usually do advise, if you have already tried everything and you still feel like you're falling behind, try working with expanded states of consciousness through different modalities. That could be through neurofeedback, where you go to the lab and you train the way your brainwave functions work, and you start shifting from beta. We already know that there are 5 in classical science. We're not going to speak about all 25 brainwaves, but in classical science, we have 5 main brainwave frequencies. Beta, that is our everyday state when we're problem solving, cracking the tasks. And this is certainly where we're also getting a lot of stress, and we're dealing with stress, and dropping the frequencies, going to alpha, allows us to a bit open up the perception and have a bit more of a creative faculties unlocked. Then slowing down even more, going to theta. Theta is already a very deep meditative state. Theta is also beginning of our sleep phases. In theta, we process things in a different way. You've heard probably of theta healing, working with theta brainwaves. That's where also the deep body healing happens. And then the lowest brainwave frequency, delta, this is where we regenerate, this is where we deeply repair. But then on the other side, we have our gamma brainwave frequencies, which are the fastest brainwave frequencies. And certainly when our brainwave frequencies are fast enough and also synchronistic, we receive downloads, we receive access to the information that we don't have access in the normal everyday life. And that's why those neurotrainings are so critical and so important. So just like we go to the gym every day or every second day and we train our muscles, this is the process that we can apply to our brainwave frequencies, where we know how to tap to the gamma brain waves, to the flow state, to expanded perception, where we can kind of move a little bit from our human self, just enough to observe more, where we can basically easier move between these, as I call them, different cameras, the camera of the player, the human self, and the observer. So we can kind of move between these cameras and have this perception more opened. And certainly there are other ways. I'm also working with quantum level biohacking that gives access to gamma brainwave frequencies and many, many other modalities that helps without psychedelics, without consciousness expanders, go into these states and receive that information and be basically upgrade your humanness. This is how I call it, that you upgrade your human operational system.
Human OS. I love it. Here's the raw problem with business: fear. Are we making the right decision? Are we going to go out of business? How do we scale? All fear comes into business, especially as an entrepreneur. How can you help with that? Because if you can solve a lot of that, it's a game changer, right?
Right. I'd love to step back here a little bit and Remind our listeners that for centuries we have been living in the survival mode where that became basically the matrix for survival, and this is how our internal programming has been trained. And doesn't matter if we dive into Vedic tradition or simply psychology, we'll find that there is the something that in modern language we can call the T9 when we start typing in our phone, and then T9 kind of comes over and replaces the words and puts different meanings. We have these mechanical programs installed inside of our psyche, installed in our subconscious mind that catches the triggers for fear, certainly. And the more we're able to get inside of us and just start tracking and start giving even internal commands like, hey, I'm actually for a life. I'm not about survival anymore. I want to create business from state of happiness. I want to leave whatever partnership relationship from happiness. So let's start creating at least first the little gap between the one who is observing the process and the manos or this T9, and then start rewriting that. This is kind of conscious way to do that. The way I also work with my clients is through quantum biohacking, where that happens through sessions with quantum energy, where it just allows to go through expanded states of consciousness and track that much faster, and then change the narration, because this is a way that we can work at all levels of human architecture, all the way from the superconscious mind through subconscious mind to conscious, and then eventually ground that in our emotional, in our energy, and in our physical body.
Data and tracking are extremely important for change, because if you don't know, you don't know. And I love that you do the tracking to tell me, Steve Ramona leader, here's what we found, and here's how you can make changes. Because if you don't know, you can't make the change. You know, if you're whatever you're doing, you don't know you're doing it, how can you change? And I love that you bring in intelligence to people, which is powerful. Speaking of your work, let's talk about your labs. You're super excited about these labs that you've been launching.
Appreciate. The most recent project that actually warms up my heart tremendously and that brings so much passion is the consciousness body evolution lab that we have created to help people to research their own life, to research their own processes of transformation, their own process of evolution. So it's not the course, it's not the therapy, it's the alive research where they truly come as a partners in the research, and they just start researching their own human transformation, working with different tools that work at the quantum level, that able to change the body through changing the consciousness, and then the consciousness start taking different geometrical shape, which helps us to change the trajectory of life. So it doesn't matter if somebody comes with the business problem, somebody else comes with the actually treating cancer, others come with infertility or any other problems. Being able to change at the same time the consciousness and the body, which is a physical matter, allows us to radically change the life trajectory. And that happens way faster than any other tool we know out there. So this is something that has been now thriving in Western Europe. And this year I'm bringing that live and more available to others in every part of the world.
And you want to bring it to the United States. So anybody listening, let's get in the United States. Let's make a difference. Let's impact people. This is why I love having your show, because everything you do is a servant's heart. You said happiness a number of times, and I love that because that's what this is all about. Once we make an impact, everybody's happy. It's just a win-win. What do you see the future of quantum level biohacking look like in the next 2 to 3 years?
Great question. We are opening more and more to the fact that our consciousness is fundamental. So scientists have been solving that paradox. What was the first, the chicken or the egg? What was the first, the matter or consciousness? And eventually the modern research by Federico Fagin, by Hoffman, by many other pioneers combining quantum physics, mathematics, biology, neurosciences, and so on and so forth, coming back to the fact that consciousness is fundamental. So consciousness creates matter. And that's why currently more and more people are opening up to that fact that consciousness is fundamental, and working with consciousness helps create us bigger and radical shift, even though this is the invisible energy that becomes more and more visible through every technology now. We are staying in the precipice where vibrational medicine, where vibrational technologies serving for business, for education, will become our new norma. Just like vibrational vitamins that I'm now currently researching with a company in the United States that serve for the domain of also quantum biohacking, that the way that the quantum energy received through our human body and activate specific cascades of reactions in us can serve as vibrational vitamins, literally, to activate the brainwave frequency to be at the right setup that you can boost your cognitive performance in any other domain of your life. So this is radically new right now, but that is becoming more and more new norma, and people are opening up more and more to consciousness that is being fundamental.
You got a lot of work there. You're a busy lady.
Of course.
Yeah, I like that. It makes you happy. Before we end the show, I do talk to people about consciousness. And, they get it's woo woo or doesn't work or there's fear. What would you tell those people listening about consciousness that have all those thoughts about it?
Mm-hmm. Would you like to specifically direct the question?
Yeah, because people, I mean, you probably ran into this. Subconscious, conscious. Oh, that doesn't really work. It's woo woo. It's out there. It's rubbing a bowl, and it doesn't work. It's just all a figment of people's imaginations. Type. It's what I keep hearing from people that don't believe it works. What would you tell them to have them believe it does work?
Mm-hmm. The first what comes in my mind is the experience. Just placing the person could be a radical one, by the way.
That's all right.
Just playing with a human being and say, listen, imagine we place you under surgery and you're under the anesthesia, and the doctor starts cutting up your limbs. And are you still there? The leg is not there. Another leg is no longer there. The arm is not there. Another arm is no longer there. Eventually, let's say you have just your upper part of the body. But who are you? Are you the body, or are you something that witness the process? That's radical one. I don't love to go actually that way. But the fact that I think when people, especially when you interview people at the end of their life and you ask them, what are the things that you regret? And most of them would actually say that there was a life, but there was no me in this life. Like they recognize that they have been working through some patterns, repetitive programs. Possibly they will find out that there were some ancestral scenarios, like I live my life exactly as my grandma did, or exactly as my grandpa, or anybody else. So that means that there were programs, but there was no actually human being. And then there is something that operates that. So that operational system inside of a human being is the consciousness.
Well said. And when you said the first one about losing your limbs, I think of Stephen Hawking, wheelchair I think his whole life. I don't remember one of the smartest guys in the world. His consciousness was still strong, active, and very successful, but he couldn't use his body. All he could do is eyes and mouth and do what he does. And it just, thank you, because that helps. I hope to you, audience, helps me a lot with imagery and what consciousness really is and how powerful it could be no matter where you're at with your body and what's happened and so on and so forth. Well, we'll come to the end here, kind of sad, but we'll bring you back here in 4 or 5 months to talk more about this, see if we got some labs in the United States that people could go to. But let's find out a little bit more about you. So you're going to pick your favorite restaurant. It could be anywhere. And I'm going to get a table for us to sit at to have dinner, which would be wonderful. But I also want you to invite 3 people that have been super influential in your life, that made a difference in your life. But more importantly for me, what food would you order for the table?
What a great question. Can we expand the invitation? There are
Sure.
quite a few of these people. Um, hmm. You're invited with all of your family and your closest people.
Thank you.
Um, One of my mentors who actually helped me to unlock access to superconscious mind was Vishen Lakiani. The times when I worked at Mind Valley, certainly outside of that, so he and his family would be absolutely welcome there. Uh, there are so many people who influenced my life. Also, my supervisor at my PhD program, Maria Jose Alonso, she'd be part of that table, and her family, and my my spiritual masters, uh, people who people who unlocked me access to superconscious mind and helped me comprehend the bigger scale of that, with whom I had really visceral experimental and experiential experiences, would be there. And absolutely, my closest people, those who are invisible power, those who are the invisible network, including my baby boy. They
Amen. Oh,
all will be
that's
there.
it's a beautiful table. It'd be a huge conference table, and that's okay. The more the merrier. I love it.
And that would be the possibility to breach different domains, to breach the
Yes.
science, to breach consciousness, to breach psychology, and to breach biology, to serve at the highest and at the
I love
best,
it.
and to
What
breach
are,
business.
what are we eating?
Mm.
Your favorite food?
My favorite food is very organic, but I am also the one who doesn't want to limit anybody. I'm actually all about unlimiting. So whichever feels right and best, and whichever body craves, that would be the um, self-replenishing cloth for all the people.
Very diplomatic. I love that. Everybody's happy, and happiness is a big part of you.
Right. And
Natalia, thank you.
candles will be
Go ahead.
there.
Yes,
And
yes.
candles will be there to give some spark of life and remind that when we boost up that spark inside of us, the more we nurture that, the more we shine as ourselves, the more we can warm up others around us with the electromagnetic field that goes from that fire.
Yeah. Well, you've been a wonderful guest. Thank you so much for taking your time being on the show today. I know people listening would like to connect with you. How can they do that?
Steve, first of all, pleasure is such a mutual pleasure. Happy talking with you, happy talking to your audience. And the best way to connect with me would be through nataliastorozhylova.com. Probably you'll post those links
Yep.
under the show. Also, consciousness body evolution lab.com, or simply finding me on LinkedIn. And I'll be happy to connect, to unpack more of the questions and serve you at my best.
And audience, I'm going to do a special gift. If the first 3 people that reach out and connect with you on LinkedIn, I'm going to send you a book. So make sure you mention this podcast or my name, Steve Ramona. Say you saw her on the podcast and connect with her on LinkedIn and send her a DM and say that. And she'll send me your contact info or connect me with you. And I will send you a book that's changed my life consciously. And just because what you're doing is beautiful, I need to reward that. And you audience, you first 3 people, you get a reward as well. And subscribe to YouTube channel, whether it's mine or others. And this is a good one. If you want people to learn more about consciousness, send this out to them. People have mentioned that to you. What a gift you're giving them, because they listen to this and Natalia, what she's saying, I've got notes like crazy here. You impacted them. If they take one thing and run with it, or reach out there and run with it, you've changed somebody's life. And we need to do more of that. So with that being said, Nataliya and I want to thank you all for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.